We should be live now. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the live stream of episode 2 of HornetsCast. And today we are going to be doing another episode, and we have Ian back again from the first episode, and me. And then we also have a new member, Charlotte Hornets Only.
Yeah, it's good to be on the show. Somebody told me it was an honor for me to be in here, but really it's an honor for me because I've never been asked to do anything like this before. So excited to start the journey.
Yeah, and then also we're just it's also good because we just started. We haven't gone very far yet, so it's only been one episode in. So it's not like we've been doing tons of episodes, so it's not a ton that's been missed for him. And if you want, do you want to just start on how you think your opinion is of the Hornets this season since it's your first episode?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've had a lot of injuries, but
yeah,
I think our team has done better than I think expected, even without injuries. So I definitely like to see our team perform well with basically last year's roster. So it's their second chance for them to mesh together because they got cut short because of COVID last year. So I think we're a 4 to 6 seed.
Plus, you have to keep in mind, we also now have Lamelo. We also have Gordon Hayward and Malik. They're both hurt also. But that doesn't matter. This team is definitely a team that I could see maybe going to the first round and maybe making it out of the first round, depending on who we play. If we can beat the Hawks again, then I'm fairly confident we can make it to the second round.
One thing I would want to say, though, about the Hornets is Lamelo. He was drafted number 3. Originally, I wasn't thrilled because I would rather have James Wiseman since Cody Zeller is on the last year of his deal, and so is Big Mac Biyombo. And they're okay centers. They're nothing special. And James Wiseman looked like one of the best centers in a while in the draft. And we already had Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham, so I wasn't a big fan of us getting another guard. But then when you saw Lamelo, he was supposed to have good passing, very high IQ, just like Lonzo. Same flaw as Lonzo, though. Wasn't really a great shooter.
Yeah.
But then
somehow
he came into the league, that kind of changed because the Hornets wanted to change his jump shot, but he said, "I'm keeping it," and it worked for him.
Yeah. Something in his mind clearly just changed that day. But here's what I'm going to say about our seeding. Honestly, I'm rooting for the Sixers to just keep losing. Not because we can catch them. I don't care about catching them. I care about us not having to play them in the second round. Now, yes, I'm scared of the Sixers, bro. I am scared of the Sixers. That is the one team I'm scared of. I'm not even scared of the Nets because we've actually beaten the Nets. But that was with Lamelo and Gordon Hayward and Malik because we need them. If we don't have them, we're going to get crushed.
You also have to look back at the game when we lost to the Nets, 111-89, and they didn't even have Harden available that game.
We didn't even have – yes, but they still had Kyrie.
They didn't have Durant either, though.
Yeah, they didn't have Durant.
But the problem
James
is
Harden.
We didn't have
Imagine they have all 3 of them healthy.
We literally didn't have about 30% of our scoring.
Yeah, but
I
they
get
lost
Lamelo
50 or something.
We had Lamelo
out. Is Lamelo really going to help when it's Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden?
Dude, Malik and Lamelo were both out.
Wrong, but is he
Malik
good enough
and Lamelo were both out, dude.
With this Hornets team? Being realistic here, maybe, but I don't think in a 7-game series.
The team that I'm really rooting for to get that number 1 seed is the Bucks. I really want the Bucks to end up catching the Nets and the Sixers. They're currently 4 games behind. I really want the Bucks to catch them because we've proven that we can beat the Bucks with their starters if we have our starters. Because they're pretty much the same team, but they just added PJ Tucker, of which it'll be pretty easy to contain him. Shouldn't be that hard.
And then talking about the game from yesterday, the Hornets beating the Bucks ended up winning by 8. That was, I would say, a bigger win for the Hornets than the score shows.
Yeah,
because they were kind of laying off at the end.
We were winning by 20 at one point, in the fourth quarter. But then we took everybody out.
Obviously, you're not going to keep all your starters in. You don't need more injuries.
Like,
They already
yeah,
have
that's
Lamelo,
the thing
Gordon,
with the
Malik
Hornets.
Monk.
Literally this year, we've had so many games where we could have won by 40 if we kept our starters in, but ended up winning by like 8 or 7.
It's because you don't want to injure your starters because you've already seen that 2 of them have already got injured and a key player from the bench. So overall, I like how they're playing. Obviously, I think it would be better if they had Lamelo and Gordon and Malik healthy, but I think they're still playing pretty well,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
Miles recently.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think Lamelo's injury, as you can tell, it's definitely helped our defense with him being out. Like we want him back, but the defense
it's
significantly improved. But the
it's
offense
also
is
helped
offense
Jalen
played.
McDaniels. Yeah, it's also helped Jalen McDaniels and Miles Bridges definitely like improve their playing. Like I haven't seen Jalen McDaniels play this good ever, and I haven't seen Miles play this good since literally last season when he was a starter.
Yeah, it's a next man up mentality, and I guarantee you tomorrow the Hawks are missing like all of their wings. So Jalen McDaniels and Miles go have a big game.
And
Yeah, and then
this
also
Hornets team,
with the Hawks tomorrow, at the time of this stream, probably going to be confirmed once we get closer to the game, but at least for now, during this episode, Trae Young is still questionable. So if he doesn't play, that's going to be a big loss for the Hawks if he ends up not playing.
Very big loss for the Hawks. And if they lose Trae Young also, that should be another win for us. Like, last night, honestly, I'm just going to say, the past 2 games, I was expecting us to win. Because the Thunder were missing a lot of people, as Austin had posted on his story a couple of times. Same for the Bucks. Yeah, Austin.
Yeah,
by
the
way,
Bucks had
Charlotte
their
Hornets
whole
Only.
starting 5 and 2 bench players injured. So, like, the Bucks, you can't blame them for losing. Like, when you have that many players out, like, it's kind of hard to win.
I will say, Austin, the story that you put up earlier about the person that commented that Chuck and Shaq were gonna still mispronounce or forget our players and then just call us the Bobcats just cracked me up, dude.
It's so true, dude.
Like, I wasn't, when I watched the Hornets games in 15-16 for the playoffs, I wasn't actually looking to see, like, I wasn't listening to Chuck and Shaq. Were they actually forgetting our players and literally calling us the Bobcats?
Well, a couple years ago, Charles Barkley called us the Bobcats, and
I remember
man,
that.
the Bobcats haven't won in ages or something like that.
Yeah, I do remember him calling us the Bobcats. But
it's kind of funny. It's not as much I hear it anymore, but it's kind of funny when I'll see people say like, "Oh, the Bobcats are being good." It's like we haven't been the Bobcats.
Exactly. Honestly, I'm really glad for Jordan. And I'm just going to say this. I'm a lot more glad with Kupchak's draft decisions than Rich Cho.
Oh, for sure.
No offense to Rich Cho. He seemed like a good dude, but Kupchak is making good draft decisions.
One other thing I did want to say is everyone was really mad originally when Kemba Walker, remember? The Hornets didn't sign him to the Supermax.
Yep.
And they're like, why would you let him leave? He was your best player for as long as he was on the team, which is definitely true.
Plus, we tried but
pretty much
we couldn't.
Every day that goes by, pretty much, Kemba has this nagging injury with his ankle. And he's still been good in Boston, don't get me wrong, but as you can see, he's not doing as well as he normally does because of that nagging foot injury. He just isn't fully recovered from it.
Plus, I will say this.
Because of that, he's just not as good of a player now. Maybe he proves me wrong and it goes like away and proves us wrong and then starts playing great again like he did in Charlotte. It's just he's playing good, but not great like what he was signed for.
People might question saying for this, but I'm saying the game where Kemba decided if he was staying or leaving was in 18-19. Remember the game where Jeremy Lamb hit that half-court buzzer beater?
Yeah.
During the chaos, you could see Kemba turning around, frustrated, just punching his arms in the air before the shot went in or before even the shot got off. You could see the frustration with him. And that's where, honestly, me and my dad think that, or mostly my dad before, and then I realized that probably is the moment where he thought, I'm not staying. I can't. I'm not going to win here. And he's winning with the Celtics a bit, but now we're winning more than the Celtics are, which is kind of ironic if you think about it. We still can't beat them, but
yeah. And then also for that, so let's just look at the next few games for the Hornets. They have the Hawks tomorrow at 1, so that should be a fun game for the Hornets. I think it'll be close, especially if Trae Young plays. That should be a close game.
Yeah.
First 2 times the Hornets have beat them. So that'll be the third and final time they play this season.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I want to talk about. The Hornets own a lot of tiebreakers for teams that are below them. They own the tiebreaker with every team in our division except for the Magic. We have 1 game left with the Magic. If we win that, we own the tiebreaker over them too. We have clinched the tiebreaker on the Hawks. We've clinched the tiebreaker on the Heat. Clinched it on the Wizards. The Celtics, we would have to win the next 2 games to win the tiebreaker over them. That's a big one. The Knicks, we just need to win 1 of 2. The Pacers, we've already clinched it. The Bulls, we would have to win, I think, 2, because I'm pretty sure we lost them the first time.
Yeah, we did.
Yep, we did.
Raptors, I think we've already lost the tiebreaker to them.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, because we lost 2-1. We had that one really good game where Lamelo was doing spin threes and all that, but the first 2 were in Tampa because that's where they're playing this year, was just horrible.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about anybody from 11 below because of the fact that the Wizards, we own the tiebreaker on. Cavs, we can still win the tiebreaker, but they are currently literally about 8.5 games behind us. Magic are even further behind us, and the Pistons, we literally own their franchise now.
Yeah, we've won, the last 11 straight, I think it is?
Yeah.
Against them, or 12.
Malik, just going to say, if we don't have Malik when we play the Heat next time, we might lose because we need the owner of the Heat. I remember that. I remember that story, my guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to say the Hornets play the Lakers on Tuesday, and surprisingly today they came with a nice, I would say, considered an upset with all the injuries to the Nets. I know they have their own injuries, the Lakers, but injuries to the Lakers and the Nets have a few, but not as many. A 126-101 win for the Lakers in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised about that one.
The worst part is we got to play the Lakers and the Nets in a span of 4 days. We play the Lakers on
upcoming week.
And the Nets on
If you look at, we have Tuesday against the Lakers in Charlotte. Wednesday, so we have a back-to-back against the Cavs in Charlotte. Friday, we got to go to Brooklyn, go take the Nets on again. So just this upcoming week after tomorrow's game, those 3 teams, 2 of them are, favorited to make the NBA Finals again. Or not again, because the Nets didn't make it last year, but for the Lakers. And yes, they do have injuries right now, so it should make it a little bit easier, but they still have really good teams and really good coaches.
I just realized something. For the first time in a long time, we actually just went up more games. From 2 games, we actually just won enough games to be 3 games over 500. We stayed on that 2 games and then 1 game. We kept winning and then losing.
That's what we were doing right before the All-Star break. If you look, I think it was the last 10 games we did that. We were 5-5. We kept winning and then
it was getting annoying. Now we're 7-3 in our last 10. That's literally the second best last 10 in our conference.
And actually, the Nets just lost, so I think it's tied for first now.
No, it's not. The Nets are actually 8-2 and less. Well, what I'm looking at is an update.
Is that including today's game?
Well, what were the Nets before today?
They were 8-2.
No, I mean the record completely.
I don't know.
Because it has.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I think I know, but I don't want to say. I'm not
But
100%
currently, it
sure.
has them at 36-16.
Yeah, I think they were 15 before, but I
apparently,
could be
I'm
wrong.
looking at the updated standings. It says the Hornets and Nets have a 7-3 record over the last 10 games.
That's very interesting.
It's probably because the Nets just lost 30 minutes ago.
Wow. So the Hornets are tied for the best record in the last 10 games. That is insane.
Yeah, Hornets, I think the Hornets, the next, because this year I just don't think it's a championship team. Yeah, they're definitely better, definitely good improvement by the young players, but not a championship team at this point. So I think next year, if they can either get from the draft or signing someone a really good center, I think that would really help this team. Especially that I don't think the Hornets are looking into bringing back Cody Zeller or Bismack Biyombo. I could be wrong about that. But based on how the general manager's been talking, it doesn't seem like they're interested in that.
Honestly, in 2022, there are so many great free agents.
Yeah, there's a lot. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to persuade them to come. Yes, Lamelo, that's a good.
You even got
people probably want to come play with Lamelo. Just the thing is, the team outside of Melo, most players, they're not just notable guys. There's good players like Terry Rozier and etc. There's a lot of good players. They're just not superstars.
Well, Hayward's notable. Terry's notable. No one else is really.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball, and Gordon Hayward are pretty notable. But if you're just a casual fan, it's not really notable after probably that.
What I'm saying. In 2022, it would be a big free agency because I'm pretty sure that year we would have to re-sign LaMelo. We also that year would have to re-sign. Wouldn't it be Devontae or Miles?
Devontae's this year.
Devontae's this year.
Yeah, he's a restricted free agent. He's in the same situation as Lonzo.
Cody's an unrestricted free agent that year. Harden has a player option.
He's going to stay with the Nets.
A lot of players
with Kevin Durant and Kyrie. That's the whole point of going there.
There are a bunch of
That'd be a waste if he left.
What I would have to do is I would have to pull up CXNBA's Instagram. I think it was either story or post. Or maybe it was both.
Yeah, we don't need to go through all the free agency right now. It's not off season. So.
True. We'll go through that during the off season.
Y'all know the Rookie of the Year race, right?
James. Yeah, I don't know if LaMelo. Obviously good.
No, I'm sorry, but LaMelo's winning that no matter what. He's literally won 4 out of the 6, and he even won the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month one time when he was injured for half of the month.
I get he played 56%, which if you look at other notable rookies who were good and ended up getting injured, Joel Embiid, he only played I think around 30-something%, so that makes sense why he didn't win it. See, LaMelo played a little bit over half. It was around 56% of the season he played. Yeah. Which means there's a possibility he can win it. I just don't think they're going to give it to him. Especially that if you look at Anthony Edwards lately. Has he been as good as LaMelo? No, he hasn't been as good as LaMelo was. But he's been pretty good for the Timberwolves. And if he finishes out the season and plays pretty much all the games, then I think they're going to give it to Anthony Edwards, in my opinion.
Sorry, I don't care what you have to say about that.
I think it should be LaMelo because LaMelo was good enough and also gave, as you've seen the Hornets, look at how much better they are this year. It's not all LaMelo, but he was a big part of that.
Jake, I'm sorry, but if you're having a rookie season that is better than the LeBron's rookie season / rivaling LeBron's rookie season, and you're pretty much the energy of your team, and you won Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month 4 times out of 6, including once where you were injured for half the month, tell me that does not deserve.
The only reason I don't see him winning it is because he played only a little bit over 50%. That's the only reason I see why he wouldn't win it.
I see.
Because pretty much after the All-Star game, if LaMelo wanted to win Rookie of the Year after the All-Star game, all you do is just do about as good as he was doing, maybe even a tiny bit worse, and he still would have been fine, and he would have won if he just played through the rest of the season.
I'm sorry,
but because of his injury, I think that's what's going to hold him back.
Actually worthy of that award besides Lamelo that's really actually worthy. Like averaging Lamelo numbers.
Like,
Nobody.
I think he should win it, but I don't think they're going to give it to him.
And keep in mind, for literally almost the first half of the season, he was off the bench. He was coming off the bench. And he was still averaging about 20. And then once he was a starter, he still averaged 20. He averaged about, what did he average? Like 21?
His average for the season was 15.9. He finished at, except if he comes back, but I don't think he'll come back regular season. Maybe
Still,
playoffs.
But that man's gotten triple doubles. Like, that man is a combination of Jason Williams, Jason Kidd, Steph Curry, or he has the range of him. Maybe not the accuracy of him, but has the range of him.
Not maybe in the future, but definitely not right now. He's not as good as Curry.
Athleticism of Ben Simmons, the height of Ben Simmons, not the shooting.
Ben Simmons is 6'10", Ian. He's only like 6'7".
Ben Simmons is 6'10". Sorry,
not as tall as Ben Simmons,
bro. I'm trying to think of a 6'7" point guard in the history of the NBA. But yeah, that man. Oh, and he's got probably the best vision in the league.
Yeah, he has pretty good IQ.
And the fact that I'm just going to say, the fact that Magic Johnson says that Lonzo has the highest IQ out of all the point guards in the league, bro, he doesn't even have the highest basketball IQ out of his family. I mean, seriously. Lamelo has way much more of a basketball IQ than Lonzo. Yeah, I'm done with my rant on Lamelo.
All right, but for the rest of the season, the Hornets are going to have a lot of home games because they've played the least in the NBA. So they're going to have a lot of home games coming up. So that's always a good thing. Obviously, the crowd, nothing like it used to be because of all the limited capacity and all that. But it's still good to be home. Better than being on the road. You don't have to travel. It's obviously easier on the players as well. So it makes it easier. And then we got some good teams we have to play. We also have some bad, like not as great of teams we have to play for the rest of the season. So it's kind of like a mix. It's not completely good, like great team, but it's not completely horrible team. It's like some good, some bad, some decent. So we'll see how it goes. See if they have to play in the play-in. If they miss the playoffs completely, which I don't think they will. Even without Lamelo and Gordon, I think they'll still maintain at least a play-in spot, if not a top 6.
Yeah. What's your take on that, Austin?
Well, we gotta remember we're only like 2 games up on 8, so we could easily drop 2. They could win 2.
Yeah.
But I think this next stretch of games, we play some tough teams, but we also play teams that we need to beat, like the Knicks, Bulls, and the Hawks, of course.
Yeah, Cavs we also play on Wednesday. That's it. That's a game we need to win.
The Bulls, the Hawks, the Knicks, those are all winnable games. I'm not saying that the Lakers and Nets are winnable.
I think the Lakers game,
especially with the injuries the Lakers have. It's just going to be tough to win, but it's winnable. It's definitely
I
winnable.
think the Lakers game's winnable because, I mean,
they don't have LeBron or Anthony Davis.
Badly, without LeBron, I don't think it's that winnable. I'm sorry.
I think the Lakers game is winnable because they're not going to have LeBron or Anthony Davis. And, yeah, they're still going to have Montrezl Harrell and some of their other good players, but it's a winnable game. Is there a good chance we win? Like, I'm not 100% sure about that, but there's still a chance we win. I wouldn't say we were ruled out. It would still be an upset, I would say, if we won that game.
Well, yeah,
but I still think it's possible.
But yeah, honestly, I'm not saying it's impossible for the Lakers. For the Nets, it's most likely going to be pretty dang impossible. But
yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to beat the Nets, especially if they're going to still have Durant probably healthy and Kyrie and possibly even Harden by that point.
Harden's out for that game.
Possible without Gordon, Lamelo, and Malik. However, the Lakers, we could pull off the upset there.
Yeah, we could beat the Lakers. That's definitely a winnable game. It's gonna be hard
Honestly,
to do because the
if
Lakers
we
are a
drop
really good
those
team,
two and
obviously,
win
and
the
they still
other
have a great
three,
coach and a great culture, but it's definitely winnable.
here's what I'm gonna say. If we drop those two, the ones against the Lakers and the Nets, and we win the other games like the Bulls, the Cavs, the Hawks, and the
Magic, we also have to play. Pistons, we play 2 more times.
Yeah, if we win all those games, I am completely fine with that because that would.
And just to give you a standings update, currently we are 4th, and to move back to the play-in tournament bottom, which is number 8 or number 10, excuse me, because it's 7 through 10 are the play-in, because 10 will play 9, and then 8 will play, or 8 will play 7, and then 8 will play 7 will play 8, and then 9 will play 10. I can't talk properly, but that's how it'll work. And then the top 6 are guaranteed. So 7 and 8 will play it out. Winner of that will get 7, and then 9, 10 will play. Winner will play the loser of 7 or 8, and then those two play, and that's the 8 seed. So that means that the Hornets, to make it, would have to be at the minimum. They can't be below it. Would have to be 10, which is currently held by the Bulls, who are 22 and 29, and the Hornets are 27 and 24. So they're about 5 games above the Bulls right now.
I will say,
so obviously there's not a ton of cushion right now. It's very close, 4 through 10. And if you just want to look from 4 to 8, there's only a 2-game difference. And 4 to 7 is 1 game. So it's very close, as you can tell, in the Eastern Conference.
I do agree with Magic on one thing. This team is the most entertaining team in the league. I'm sorry, that's just completely true. This might just be one of the best Hornets teams of all time. Because you keep in mind about the super teams that are in our goddamn conference. We have to play the Nets. We have to play the goddamn, and we only play the Western Conference teams twice. So we still have to play all of them twice. And this might be the best Hornets team ever.
Yeah, I'll have to see how they do with playoff success as well, because I think if it's just regular season success, it's not really. It's a good team. I don't think you could say that about it.
If we can get that 4 seed and Atlanta stays at 5, and we beat Atlanta again tomorrow, and we get Lamelo, Gordon, Hayward, and Malik back, or at least Gordon, Hayward, and Malik back for the Hawks games, then we are set for the playoffs against the Hawks. We should be able to eliminate the Hawks in the first round, make it to the second round, and if the Bucks are there, who knows? Maybe we pull off that upset too. Go to the Eastern Conference Finals, then I don't have hope to win. But however, I will still be really sad if we lose in the Eastern Conference Finals.
But yeah, Melo was at the last 2 games in Milwaukee and Oklahoma City, so I guess he's starting to travel with the team a little bit.
Yeah. Plus, he is starting to shoot with that left hand. We'll have to see about that one. If he starts to make shots with his left hand too, oh my God, he would be one of the most unstoppable players in the league.
Like, he can pretty much pass with his hands pretty efficiently right now. So
I don't even know when the last time that there was a switch shooter in the league.
Yeah, it's not the MLB. It's not switch. It's not switch hitter.
I know.
It's a switch shooter.
That's the crazy thing. He's literally shooting with his right, and he's trying to shoot with his left.
And he doesn't have the other hand to guide it either. Because normally you want to use 2 hands so you can have a guiding hand. And he can't do that right now, obviously, with his injury.
He's shooting with one hand. Yes, he's airballing, but he's getting better. Imagine.
But yeah, we'll have to see how his recovery goes.
Now, here's the thing.
And see how all that goes for him.
Now, here's the thing. If we do make it to the second round, Lamelo should be back.
We should have an update on Lamelo probably, I would say, by the end of this month. Probably maybe early May. I would say that's probably when we should get an update somewhere around there.
Even if we don't get Gordon Hayward back for the first round, or Malik back for the first round, if we still make it to the second round, I guarantee you we'll have Malik and Gordon Hayward back for that. Melo, it might be Melo at the latest. I'm going to say that it's probably going to be the conference finals, but the earliest it could be the regular season.
Yeah, I just don't see the point of them playing Melo in the regular season, even if we're trying to fight for a playoff spot, because the reason why is because Melo is the future of this team, obviously, and you don't want to just get an nagging injury or like a really bad injury to him. So I just don't see them playing him back in the regular season, except if it's like a game where you win and you're in and lose and you're out. Otherwise, I really don't see them playing him.
There is one point where I see us actually playing him because of it. I see us playing him if we're in a battle for the 4 seed. And you're asking why? Because it's a risk for injury. Because of the fact that would give us home court. That's the best part. It would give us home court advantage, and we wouldn't have to play the 2 or 3 seed in the next round if the Bucks actually somehow make 1. If the Bucks don't make 1, then our best bet is actually kind of being a 6 seed. Or no, it wouldn't be. No matter what, we want to be 4 or 5. But because we don't want to be 6, 7, or 8. We definitely don't want to be 7 or 8. And if we are 7 or 8, we want the least we want to be is 6. The highest we can be pretty much right now is 5 or is 4. If we can stay at 4 and we are still up there and we're in a battle with the Hawks or someone like that, we're going to need Lamelo. I'm sorry, but it's true. We're going to need Lamelo. So we're going to have to play him because it will be for home court advantage against the Hawks.
I would just like to say, who do you think, overall, just from everyone, who do you think overall this season has just made, I guess you could say, a good, jump and, good improvement as, one of the young players that's been on this team? Because Melo, he was a rookie, so that's why I wouldn't consider him for this. I just want to know, what you would think from, a previous year, the previous year from the Hornets. I would say I would probably go with Miles Bridges, probably, because McDaniels really didn't play too much last year, so that's why I'm not going to say him. Because if you look at Bridges, him and Melo had some crazy chemistry on their lobs, and will be probably again once Melo's able to be healthy. And Miles Bridges, I think, is a really good player off the bench. Even though he was a starter last year, I still think he's a really good 6th or 7th man off the bench.
Yeah,
I think it's Malik Monk.
Monk I think is good too. Just the thing is with him, he's a little bit inconsistent for what I would like.
Yeah.
Bridges, I think, is a little bit more consistent, but I like Monk as well off the bench because he's a really good shooter.
Yeah. Monk is inconsistent unless he's going against the Heat. If he's going against the Heat, man's goated, bro.
He scored 60-something combined points in 2 games against the Heat, I think it was. It was 32 and 35 or 36. First game was 35 or 36, and the second game was 32. So that's combined close to 60 points.
My most improved player, people are going to be laughing. It's honestly Terry Rozier. And some people may say, he's not young. He actually is fairly young. His rookie season was in 2018, the 17-18 season. Literally, he was drafted the same year Miles was. Or sorry, no, not the same year. My bad. He was drafted the same year Malik was. But yeah, Terry Rozier has jumped from a probably not starting point guard on a lot of other teams to a dominant three-point shooter in the clutch and one of the clutchest players in the fourth quarter in the league. He's literally Isaiah Thomas, but with more height.
I also just wanted to say, what's everyone's opinion on Brad Wannamaker? Because of Lamell being injured, that's obviously why the Hornets got him. Otherwise, why would they get another point guard? Because they already have him. But obviously, with the Lamelo injury and obviously Monk as well, because he could play shooting or point guard, Wannamaker. I think he's been
feel like
really
the
good. I didn't
Wannamaker
expect him to.
trade was a
I
good one.
expected him to do a little bit and be like get a few minutes per game. That was about it. But now that Malik's hurt and Lamelo's hurt, we already knew about Lamelo when they traded for him, but we didn't know about Malik because he was still healthy at the time. So it's just like, oh, he'll get maybe 5 minutes a game. And be a good locker room presence because he's a veteran. He's 30-something. I don't know the exact age. He's 30, 31, 32, somewhere around there. But he's actually, I think, been playing really well. He's a great free throw shooter. That was one thing we knew about him. He was a great free throw shooter, one of the best in the league percentage-wise. He doesn't have the most attempts, but still a really good free throw shooter. I think overall a really good point guard for being off the bench.
Yeah. Plus, you got to add the fact that we didn't give up that much for him. We gave up a second rounder?
We gave up a second rounder in 2025, and we also got a second rounder in 2022 from the Warriors for him as well. Yeah, so the Warriors, I think, we're just trying to
you got a second rounder in return, also Wannamaker, and you have to keep in mind the fact that that's actually a steal because they should have known by then we would need another backup point guard, so they should have asked for more. We stole that pick from them.
Well, you also have to keep in mind, that was one of the deals that went down right like at 3 o'clock, which means they pretty much just had to take what they can get. Because if you want to get rid of someone, you got to take what you can get at 3 o'clock. That's the deadline. After that, you can't accept any more trades. You've got to take with what you got. So if they say that's all they're going to do and you really want to get rid of Wannamaker if you're the Warriors, you got to accept it or else you're stuck with them.
So
my not really much leverage for the Warriors there. That's why they probably ended up doing that.
Yeah. My opinion on Wannamaker, honestly, is that he's a really good player. He brings chemistry to the team, and it definitely doesn't seem like he's bringing down enemy because if you keep in mind, he was also on the Celtics first year for Gordon Hayward and the first year for Terry Rozier because they both had their first years for the Celtics in the same year. That was the year that Hayward was in, but Hayward was still on the Celtics the next year, and if I'm not mistaken, Wannamaker was. And Terry Rozier, of course, was also.
And then, what's your opinion on the Wannamaker, how he's been playing Charlotte Hornets Only?
I mean, I think he's filled the role pretty well for all the injuries. The best part about his game has been his assisting and how he can create for his teammates. But he shot the ball better than I thought he would because he was shooting the ball at a horrible rate of 6% or something. But since he's came to Charlotte, shooting I think in the 50s or 40s, so that's a lot better than what he was shooting. So I think it's a good signing, or not signing, but deal. And Mitch wins again.
Yeah, I think it was a good deal because at worst he could have just been a good locker room presence as a veteran because the team overall is really young, other than Gordon Hayward and I guess you could say Bismack Biyombo. Really, it's a pretty young team. Yes, Cody Zeller's a little bit older. He's 29. But there's not really that much old players on this team. It's average is one of the youngest teams in the whole league. So that's why I think getting a veteran doesn't hurt the team. It helps. Getting some experience in there, playoff experience, because he made it to the playoffs in the bubble last year with the Celtics. Made all the way Eastern Conference Finals.
For you guys. What's your opinion on Cody Zeller? I'm kidding. What's your opinion on Eric Collins? My opinion, easily the best commentator in the game.
He definitely has a lot of energy, which is obviously good as a commentator. When you're being a Hornets commentator, obviously, because the Hornets, so obviously they got to kind of favor the Hornets a little bit. But the Hornets, I think, are good at also, acknowledging, when things happen, the Hornets commentators. They just won't say, if they do something and they make the right call, because, yes, when they make the wrong call, obviously they're going to be mad about it. But, if they make the right call and, let's say it's called that the Hornets did a foul, but on the floor they didn't call it and they challenge it, and they see the replay and they could clearly tell it's a foul, the announcers will say, oh, that's clearly a foul on whoever on the Hornets, and they should be overturned. They won't sit there and just be like, yeah, that shouldn't be overturned, even though it should be. So I think that's always good to also be, doing it based like on the actual play, not just because you're the Hornets commentators to say, oh, it shouldn't be a foul on the Hornets, even if it should be.
So
if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it does. So my opinion on Eric Collins, he's kind of like my sports commentator idol. He's one of the main reasons why I want to become a sports commentator. Like, I look up to him because of the fact that, I mean, the guy brings so much energy and has some of the most iconic calls in Hornets history. Like, it's so amazing. I want to become a sports commentator because of the fact that I love sports. And Eric Collins is the one that really pushed that influence on me.
Yeah, and I also think he's a good commentator because when you look on like the NBA Instagram, for example, like when they use Hornets highlights, and it's not like a national game, so obviously if it's a national feed, they can't use the Hornets feed. But if it's on like TNT or etc., some other channel that's just national. But like when it's just a game on just the local networks for the two teams, they'll normally use the Hornets announcers as the audio because they have to use one of the feeds, and they'll normally use the Hornets one when they show highlights, not the other team, which makes sense because obviously when they're showing like a great highlight, like a Miles Bridges dunk or whatever, Lamelo flashy pass or something, obviously they want to use the announcers that are going to be like really excited about it, which Aaron Collins I think does great with that.
Yeah, I love it when he just goes, "Oh, Lamelo." What's your take, Austin?
I think I remember him like when he first came in, and I'm like, oh, what's he doing here? Because I like Steve Martin, and I remember I just watched the first game, and I was just like so amazed by how great he was at doing it, and like he gets better every game because I swear every game he has a new line or skirmish or something. He says something funny every game.
Yeah, the funny thing was I was watching a Duke Stephen F. Austin game, that game where Stephen F. Austin upset Duke. I was watching the end, and I just watched it because Stephen F. Austin could have pulled off the upset, and I hate Duke because I'm a Tar Heels fan. Now, yes, I know this isn't NBA or anything like that, but it is related to the subject. I heard the voice of the commentator. I'm like, wait a second. That's our commentator. And that man literally called the biggest win in Stephen F. Austin history when they beat number 1 Duke at Duke.
Yeah, and then I also think that Dell's a nice little addition there as the other commentator, Del Curry. Obviously a good player for the Hornets while he played. So.
Yeah, I still remember when Terry crossed over that guy from the Spurs, and that Eric Collins was like, "Oh, Terry, you're kidding!" And then Dell just did that little laugh. It's hilarious.
Yeah, Dell doesn't talk as much, obviously, or I would say he still has energy, but nowhere near as much as Aaron Collins. But Dell's still a good commentator.
When they went to the big shot, they both have energy because Dell really cares for the city. This is where his career really blossomed. This is where he's really, really respected in Charlotte.
And to finish off the episode, I just want to say, where do you guys think the Hornets will finish in the season? Obviously, it's hard to know because you never know. There could be more injuries, and obviously, you can't account for that. But just based on how it's been going and how we have the rest of the schedule to play, especially with a lot of home games, that also helps. Do you think they'll be in the 1 through 6 where they'll be safe, don't have to worry about a play-in, or they just completely fall off the rest of the season? Because they only need to, because they're only about 5 games ahead of 10, which means if they lost 6 in a row and all those other teams won, then they would be out of the playoffs at 11. So do you think they completely miss? They have to be forced to play in the play-in, or do you think they just get a top 6 and then they're just in and then just have to wait to see who they play from the play-in?
Honestly, I have them getting number 4. I have them getting 4 or 5. And if it really comes down to it in the end, I have them getting 4 because of the fact that they own the tiebreaker over the Hawks and pretty much own the Hawks this year. least half.
Yeah, I'd look to like.
Plus, we have a pretty easy schedule to end it out.
Well, there are still some good teams if you look over. So we still got the Nuggets to play again, the Clippers. And then, yeah, other than that, yes, we have to play the Bucks one more time, the Trailblazers. But really, other than that, the Nets and the Lakers, the rest of the schedule isn't too bad. Yes, we have to play the Celtics 2 more times. They did give us problems the first time. But overall, the rest of the schedule isn't too hard. Yes, there's like a few games in there, but overall, I would say the schedule is pretty easy for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Austin,
compared to the first half, especially.
Well, what's your take on this?
Wait, did you ask me that?
Yeah, Austin, where do you think the Hornets will finish at the end of the year?
I mean, personally, it really matters more now about like the teams behind us. Like we got to keep winning, but like if the Celtics and Knicks,
because
like I keep my eye on the Celtics.
Hawks, yeah, pretty much
Yeah,
everyone that's right now 4 to 8 because they're really close. 9 is still kind of close, but they're 3 games. The rest of the teams are all 2 or less from 5 to 8 below the Hornets. So yeah, those teams are really going to matter. Which are the Hawks, Heat, Celtics, and Knicks. Those are going to be really the big teams. Pacers also a 9. But
yeah,
Bulls, I don't know how much of a threat they're really going to be since they already have, because they're 22 and 29.
Yeah.
But they could be a threat.
Yeah, but because
the Raptors this year did not look great, so I don't know if they're really a threat. And then after that, the teams are kind of just too far behind, I think, to really make a push at it.
Pretty much no one from 11 down or 12 down at least is a threat right now. But if you really think about it, if we lose, we're going to have to root for another team to lose or a bunch of teams to lose. But we're still going to have to root for them to lose anyways. So no matter what, nothing's really changing that much.
Yeah, but I'm going to say that the Hornets, and obviously if there's injuries and stuff, obviously we can't account for that. So if injuries end up happening, like some more key players get injured for us, obviously we don't want to see that happen. But if it does, then obviously this might change. But I would say I think that we end up finishing 4, 5, or 6, depending on how it plays out with all the teams below us. Because I don't think we're going to fall down into that play-in, but I could see us maybe being 7 or 8. But I'm going to go with we're probably 4 to 6, somewhere from that range, depending on how the rest of the teams play and how we play. I think that's where we finish, somewhere there for the season.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how it plays out, obviously, because there's still a lot of season left to go.
Yeah, I would probably
around 20 games or less for about each team. Or, yeah, about 20 games, some less, but some a little bit more. But around 20 games for each team, so we'll see how it all plays out. And we'll just see how it plays out once we get closer to the playoffs. And see if the Hornets can get some wins to ensure their playoff spot.
Yeah. Austin, I would probably let you finish your prediction.
Honestly, I don't know if I see us becoming like the 4 seed. I could see us being the 5 or 6, but I honestly feel like the Celtics are probably going to turn it on because they've won 4 out of their last 5. But I think Lamelo will be back in the regular season on like a minutes restriction. But don't quote me, but I do have a feeling that he will be back. Gordon Hayward will be back before the playoffs.
Monk should be as well because he was only out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, Monk should be back like next.
And Monk went out, what, 1
2.
week ago, I believe, which means he should be back in about a week, maybe 2, depending on, because they might want to be a little bit cautious with him. You don't want him to get re-injured. Keep in mind when he got injured, that's when he came back right off an injury of like 2 or 3 games, and then he just re-injured himself. So they're probably gonna be a little bit
out about 2 weeks ago. He should be back in about a week to a week and a half, I would say.
But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. So thank you guys for listening to this episode 2 of the podcast, and all of our Instagram links are down below for the podcast. Charlotte Hornets Only. Me, who's Panthers Fan, and also Ian, who's Page Fan 5 on Instagram. Those links are all down below in the description. And just if you want to talk about the Hornets, you can always DM us on the HornetsCast Instagram, link in the description. And thank you for listening to the podcast. It's me, Panthers Fan.
Me, Page Fan 5, Ian.
And me, Charlotte Hornets Only.
And that's going to do it. See you guys.